Good Friday today. I'm just going to spend the next few minutes talking about the last few hours of Good Friday. So it was around evening time when Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate if he could bury the body of Jesus. Now, we haven't heard of this Joseph before this moment in the narrative, but Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John each tell us a bit about who he was. So Joseph was a rich young man and a very respected member of the Jewish community, as well as a member of the Sanhedrin, although he didn't fully share all of their values. And at the same time, he was also a secret disciple of Jesus and was actively looking for the kingdom of God to break in. So he was overall a good and righteous man. And his request to bury Jesus was pretty bold because it essentially told people how sympathetic he was towards Jesus at a time when that level of sympathy could be pretty dangerous for him. So in Mark's account of the gospel, he notes that Pilate was pretty surprised that Jesus was already dead, as it typically took a lot longer to die being crucified on a cross. But after Pilate confirmed Jesus' death with the centurion, he granted Joseph's request to bury the body. Now, John noted that Nicodemus assisted Joseph in the burial by providing around 75 pounds of myrrh and other aloes to wrap the body in the linen, which is a super extravagant gesture that indicated the high esteem in which Nicodemus held Jesus. And I read that those 75 pounds of myrrh and spices were equivalent to like at least $200,000 in our time, probably a lot more, honestly. So that's pretty crazy. So then Joseph chose to bury Jesus in the tomb of a rich man, which confirms Isaiah's prophecy in Isaiah 53 verse 9 that says, "And they made his grave with the wicked and with the rich man in his death." So Matthew, Mark, and Luke all conclude their accounts of Jesus' burial by noting that Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, observed Jesus' burial and know the tomb in which he was laid. And they paid careful attention to the location because they believed that the burial was hasty and the body was insufficiently prepared. So they had planned to return to the tomb after the Sabbath with additional spices and ointments. So the biggest thing I take away from this is just Joseph's boldness to approach Pilate and to ask to bury Jesus' body. Like, to me, that action seems like something so small in the grand scheme of things, like, oh, he's just gonna rise from the dead. Like, why would you need to anoint the body or things like that? But like, when I think back to what they were believing back then, like a lot of them didn't know or didn't believe that Jesus was gonna rise from the dead. So I just love Joseph's heart that he wanted to show his love for Jesus in that public way, even if it potentially meant putting his life in danger. And then I also just love Nicodemus's heart of worship. Like, he would spend crazy amounts of money on Jesus' dead body. Like, that's crazy to me. And I just my prayer is like, Lord, would you fill me with more boldness and more generosity like Joseph and Nicodemus? So thanks for joining me tonight. And I just pray that you would encounter Jesus more and more as you reflect on Good Friday and everything Jesus did for us.